Hi, everybody. It's the weekend edition of Proline. And, boy, what a weekend it is. We're down to 8 teams in the college basketball tournament. And, boy, it's been exciting. Big Al McMorty's here. Jim Feist is here. I'm Dave Koken, and it's nice to have you with us for the weekend edition. We're going to look at one of the regional finals. Going to determine a Final Four team as Arizona takes on UConn. We've also got an NBA game to look at. And we've got some great offers this week if you guys take advantage of and make some money. Big Al, we'll start with you. You've got an entire week of big plays at a very low price.
Yeah, it's $1 a day, Dave. It's all my big plays from Saturday through the upcoming Friday. That's 7 days of action for just $7 little. That's right, not $700, $7 little. Everyone can afford that. It's the price of a Little Caesars pizza, for gosh sake. And folks can call and get all my college basketball, all my NBA, and, of course, when baseball starts, you get baseball as well. And it's 866-896-1628. 7 days of action, $7. All my big plays, 866-896-1628.
Well, Jim, Al's doing a special for $7. You're charging right about the same thing, but there's 8 teams left in the tournament. You've got an Elite 8 special, and it's $8.
I am the more expensive brand. $8. We're way up there. The final eight plays. This is it. $8. Final 8 teams, I should say. 4 big games. I'm gonna go 4-0 with these games. Absolutely. $8. Call 1-866-841-1655. You can't beat the price for Al's or mine. $15, you get both of them. Why wouldn't you do it? 1-866-841-1655. And don't forget, if you want free plays each and every day, just text WINNER, WINNER, to 313131, and we'll send you right to your cell phone a free play each and every day. So don't forget, call for Al, call for Jim, you get $15. What are you going to do, Dave?
Well, I enjoy the basketball as much as anybody, and I've done pretty well in this tournament, although I'm still steamed up about the BYU game on Thursday, which was extremely irritating. But, hey, they happen that way sometimes. But a lot of my focus right now is on baseball. I know it's, the sport that gets less attention than the others, but I bet a lot of money on baseball because I know I'm going to win more at baseball than any of the other sports. I get to play it every single day. I got basically 15 games to choose from to find the best 2 or 3 options. You got a great special. And this is going to be a one-day only price. You got to take advantage of this by calling today. The entire first month, you're going to go right through April 30th for $29. That's less than $1 a day. You're going to get every action play I've got in baseball for the entire month. I'm going to include the rest of the basketball as well. The entire deal is just $29. And I know a lot of people, baseball, it's like I'm done until football. Well, you're throwing money away if you do that. Take advantage of this. Make a phone call. Spend the $29 and see how much you can make in just 1 month playing my baseball games. And again, you get the basketball as an add-on, no cost. 1-866-841-1665. That's 1-866-841-1665. And also for my free daily plays on a text message, it's very easy. Just text Kokin, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131. Within seconds, you'll get back the day's free play on your cell phone. All right, we've got games to look at, and we don't want to ignore the NBA. We're going to look at Arizona, Connecticut. We don't want to ignore the NBA because, again, this is something where a lot of people aren't paying attention to it right now. But there's money to be made out there. And we'll look at the matchup between the Knicks and the Charlotte Bobcats. Boy, the Knicks really look good right after the Carmelo Anthony trade, guys, but they have not looked good lately. I don't know whether they started reading their own press clippings or maybe the euphoria of this deal wore off. The one thing I do know is they don't have much depth on this team after making this deal with Denver. Now, that'll be addressed in the offseason. They're going to be a good team next year, in my estimation. But for now, the Knicks don't look really good. And Al, I think they've lost a little bit of their confidence and swagger. They're just not playing with that same level of enthusiasm that they did right after the trade took place.
Yeah, and also what's interesting is, it's not just that the Knicks are playing, I guess we can say mediocre, it's that Denver has taken off like a rocket since the trade. Denver now 15-1 against the spread its last 16. And, of course, the Nuggets are talking about how they're playing basketball the right way, which, of course, is an indictment of how they were playing when Carmelo Anthony was there. So, George Karl couldn't be happier. The city of Denver couldn't be happier. Now the Knicks are stuck with Carmelo, but I'm sure the Knicks will be fine next season. They just have to work through some issues this year. And as Miami will attest, sometimes it's difficult when you try to integrate new players, although, hey, Denver's not having a problem. But the best news for the New York Knicks for this game Saturday is that Charlotte may be without Steven Jackson once again. He's day-to-day, although an MRI did reveal no tear in his left hamstring. I have a feeling, though, he's not going to play. Tyrese Thomas is also day-to-day after bruising his ribs when they lost to Indiana. So you've got the two best players for the Bobcats possibly not going to suit up in this game on Saturday night. That being said, Charlotte's probably going to fall into their best point spread role. And ever since the franchise came into the NBA, the Bobcats have been terrific off a loss when matched up against an opponent off a straight-up win when the Bobcats were playing at home. We don't know. Since we're recording this on Friday, we don't know the results yet of Friday night, but it's likely that the Knicks will beat Milwaukee, and it's virtually certain that the Bobcats will lose to the Boston Celtics. So I'll give a shaky nod to the Bobcats with or without Jackson and Tyrese Thomas in the lineup, and I think the Bobcats as a home underdog are worth a look, Dave.
Yeah, I kind of like the over in this game, and I know with Charlotte, they're not a scoring machine, obviously, but since the coaching change there, they've shown more of a tendency to want to run. And, Paul Silas said he was going to do that when he took over the team, and he wasn't lying. They have at least tried to push the pace. Well, the Knicks are obviously going to cooperate with that. You've got both teams are going to be a little bit thin here. They're both on no rest. You mentioned the injury situation on Charlotte. Sean Williams is out there for the Knicks. He's playing hurt. I think depth has a tendency to impact defense more than offense in the NBA. So I think you're going to get a high-scoring game here. Probably be fun to watch. I don't know who's going to win, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really care because I think you'll get both teams with a bunch of points here, and I think there's some value in the over on this game. So that'll be my play between the Knicks and Bobcats is the over. Jim, what do you like?
Well, I really don't like this game very much at all. I don't have much to say about it except, Mike D'Antonio says that Amari is probably tired at this point. Billups and Carmelo come over and they started off okay, but the team concept isn't there. Al said in Denver they have the team situation going. They're playing well as a team. Well, Carmelo is not. He's an individual player. It's hard. You have to adjust things to him because of the way he plays. That's going to take some time to do it. Both teams are a little bit of a mess. Since Paul Silas came over at midseason, they responded pretty well, but they don't have very much talent. As Al said, they got injuries. There's not a lot to talk about here. I'm not going to put my money on this game, honestly, total or otherwise. I would lean to what you're talking about with the total, but there's other things that I like better to bet on.
Well, I would agree with that as well. And lots of games on Saturday, so you try and find the sweet spots. Let's look at a game that a lot more people are going to be interested in, obviously. It's an Elite Eight matchup, a berth in the Final Four for either Arizona or Connecticut. I think most people would have to agree it's somewhat of a surprise Arizona is still playing, although not a shock. Sean Miller is a really good basketball coach. We already knew that from his days at Xavier. He was a heady guy when he played college basketball, going back to those days as well. It's just a sharp basketball guy. And, Calhoun's been down this road a million times. And his team showed that they were peaking at the right time with that spectacular performance in the Big East tournament, and they've kept it going in this NCAA tournament. I think Connecticut was extremely impressive to me in the way they overcame some physical issues with San Diego State. They were just a better team in the clutch in their Sweet 16 matchup. That was a tough game. Arizona was absolutely great in demolishing Duke. So now you've got, I think, a really compelling matchup here between Arizona and Connecticut. The site advantage probably to Arizona. The depth advantage maybe goes to Connecticut. Let's break the game down and see if we can determine whether there's a good side or a total here. Jim, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Well, before we sign off today, I want to go back to what you were talking about baseball, because there's something I'd like to say about baseball. But as far as this game is concerned, Arizona, the first half, Duke handled them pretty well in the first half. The second half was absolutely remarkable, the way Arizona handled them. The problem with let's analyze the team they beat. Duke, North Carolina, ACC teams that played the first two games basically at home in Charlotte. They get a lot of calls. They always get a lot of calls. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of favoritism in the NCAA for those two clubs. The ACC this year has not been an uptick team. They haven't been that strong. They're not very physical. And they ran up against this Derek Williams character is one hell of a basketball player. And when he gets it going, this guy's hard to stop. And Duke just couldn't handle him in the second half. That was no way they could handle this guy, and he ate him alive. And that's not going to be the case with UConn. UConn is stronger underneath. They're more physical. They play in the more physical Big East League. Now, granted, the Big East, we've all been talking about and hearing about it, that they're overrated, shouldn't have had 11 teams in. I agree with that. But they are physical. That we can't take away from them. As far as that's concerned, UConn is the better team here, as far as I'm concerned. They don't have Derek Williams, but Arizona doesn't have Kemba Walker. And you cannot stop this man. He is an incredible basketball player at the college level. I don't know what happens when he gets to the pros, because he's a little bit on the short side. He may be 6 foot. He may be a little under 6 foot from people that know him. So, but he's an incredible basketball player. Guard play at this level is extremely important because they have the ball in their hands every time, where the big guys underneath do not. You have to get the ball to them. They got to get it off the boards. Guard play, Kemba Walker gives UConn the big edge. What I don't like about this is I don't like laying 3 points to a team like this. I favor UConn in the game, and I may use UConn in the game. But if this line gets higher than this, I will not use them. I will not go beyond 3. So what I'm saying is I like UConn in the game. I don't like the fact that I'm laying 3 points. Maybe 2. But I might stretch it to 3. I've been red hot in the NCAAs. I want to stay that way, and I want to press the play. I like UConn. I like Kemba Walker. I like Calhoun as the coach. And I think they're going to win the game. Will they win by 3, 4, 5, 6? Maybe, especially if Kemba takes off like he did the other night.
Arizona and Duke figured to be high scoring. It was even higher scoring than I thought it would be. Arizona got a team that was willing to play at their tempo, obviously, and that worked out well for them. I don't think Connecticut's going to have a problem playing at that tempo. I think they're going to want to run up and down the court with Arizona. Part of the reason I say that is I saw what they did in the second half against San Diego State. Now, you're talking about a game that was I think it was at 63 at the half. They scored a lot of points in the second half. And, San Diego State certainly contributed to this, but I thought Connecticut was able to do what they wanted to do in terms of controlling the pace of the game in the second half. San Diego State wanted to turn it into a street fight, and they did for a while, but eventually Connecticut was able to do what they wanted to do, and that was kind of force San Diego State to play at their pace. I think Arizona is going to be able to do that with Connecticut, and I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily for Connecticut, because they've got an absolutely great player who's on fire in Kemba Walker, and Calhoun's got enough depth in the squad so that he can rotate different bodies in there and try and find the guys who have the hottest hand. Arizona, their offense just looks absolutely great right now. Derek Williams is playing superb basketball. Boy, he looks like he's as good as any player in the country right now. And they've got some other guys around him who could also do some damage. We're seeing some high-scoring games this tournament. I think we're going to see another one here. And look, I think, I'm not going to throw this out of the equation. You could be looking at overtime in this game. I mean, we've seen enough overtime so far in this tournament. I wouldn't rule out another one. And you sure don't want the under if there's overtime. I think the over is the way to play this basketball game. I'm a little dicey on the side, to tell you the truth. I would basically agree with what you said on Jim. kind of think Connecticut might have a few too many pieces for them, but boy, I mean, I don't feel comfortable laying the points. I do feel more comfortable asking these teams to play a high-scoring game and excite all the fans that are on hand, as well as the bettors who have the over. That'll be my call on this one. Big Al, let's go to you for a little Arizona-Connecticut action.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 44 games thus far. 3 of them have gone into overtime, so that is always, out there as a possibility. That being said, I'm going to go the other way, Dave. I kind of think that Connecticut's going to want to control tempo in this ball game. I don't think Connecticut will want to run with Arizona. I think Connecticut tends to go under the total over the years. I think 55 out of the 93 games, their last 93 have gone under. The number here is, I think, a little high at 145 and a half. So I'm going to take the under in this ball game, Dave.
All right. Well, we got a split there, and Jim, a little bit of a lean on the Connecticut side. Here's the bottom line. I think it's pretty clear from the conversations that while we have opinions on these 2 games we talked about, they're not best bet material. If you want to find out about those, that's why we have these offers out here for you. They're good offers. Take advantage of them. Jim, $8 for an Elite 8 special. That is absolutely awesome. Great plays for people at a very small price.
Well, Dave, you talk about making money, and I've been a gambler on sports since I'm 20 years old or so, and making money is key. Yes, we're in the service and we do charge people for picks, but believe me, everything I give you, I'm betting, and I'm betting a lot on them. And when you talked about this offer, this is fun time. Everybody has an opinion. A lot of times people don't even want our opinions. But if they want to win, we have a better chance of winning than most people out there because we spend a lot more time working on it. So logically speaking, with the amount of time we put into it, just for this show, you have to study the games. And other people have real jobs. I mean, not that this isn't a real job, but it's kind of a fun job. $8, $7 for Al's stuff. I mean, we're winners. We pick winners. Dave, you're a winner. And you talked about baseball. I don't want to digress here, but why do bookmakers hate booking baseball?
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah.
They can't beat them. They can't beat the player. The sharp player has the biggest edge in baseball. I personally don't like baseball. I don't like watching it. The only thing I like about baseball is winning money on it. But I hate watching baseball games unless it's the playoffs. But that's just me. But I do like making money, and baseball is a tremendous opportunity to do that. It scares a lot of people away because they got to lay 140 or 160 or, they're not laying the 11 to 10 like they do in a point spread sport. And that is just part of the game. But if you know what you're doing, you're playing a lot of underdogs, you're playing a lot of cheap prices, it's not that bad. I never lay 3-1 on a game like some people do. I mean, I'm not going to put myself in a situation to do that. But baseball is a great opportunity to make money. These final 4 games, these final 8 games, there's tremendous opportunity to make money and have fun, and these games are exciting. So my offer is call 1-866-841-1655. You get all 4 games for $8. I know these games pretty well. I've been red hot. Yes, I lost the BYU in overtime, but you know what? I had the right side. I don't care. I don't like it, but I also had the other games right. So you're going to have those kind of things happen. Bad beats happen. It happens in poker. It happened the other day in a poker tournament. But you get that. In this business, being on the right side with your information is key. And we're on the right side with the information more times than not. That's why we win money. You want to win money with us this weekend, call our offers. My number is 1-866-841-1655. $8, you get all 4 plays.
Al, yours, go right ahead.
Sure. I mean, I've got, a week of big plays. It's only $7. Football. I'm sorry, not football. What am I thinking? Basketball and baseball. Shows you where my head is at. I'm thinking about the legal wrangling in the NFL right now. You've got the NBA, you've got college basketball, you've got baseball coming up in a week. 7 big days, all my big plays, just $7. 866-896-1628. And I wanted to just touch on something that Jim said a little earlier. You know, Jim, you talked about how it's kind of a fun job for us. Well, I think a lot of people out there do not understand just how much work goes into our job. I mean, we are basically working 362 days a year. We get 3 days off around the baseball all-star break, and we basically have to work, 7 to 10 hour days, if not longer, at this time of year during March Madness. And it's a very time consuming and a very difficult job, but it's also one which all of us enjoy, and we produce great results for our clients.
Absolutely. It is a lot of work. I mean, I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, and it's 12 o'clock now, so I've been up 8 hours doing this work, making bets. I have a lot of outs. I make a lot of bets on these games, totals, first halves, everything. And it's a lot of work. But the thing is, if you find something you love and you make it your job, you never really work. I mean, the biggest frustration I have is to see and I'll go back to that game. I hate losing overtime with underdogs. It just drives me crazy. I beat you the first regulation. Now I got to beat you in the overtime and I lose. And that's one thing about this year that's been totally frustrating. It's okay. You'd say, well, you should lose maybe 25% of them because you're getting points and you played even with them the whole game. But I'm losing like 85% of those overtime underdogs. I hate it.
My heart's bleeding for you, Jim.
No, but I heard about your Wichita game the other day.
Yes, it wasn't an overtime, but it was more painful. I had Wichita State against Charleston on Wednesday night. So, whether it's overtime or not overtime, the losses always sting.
I know they do.
I want to expand on something Jim said as far as the baseball goes. And this is something, I actually had somebody say to me the other day, well, you're just pumping up the baseball because that's all there is to sell right now.
No.
That's not the case. Let me give you an illustration of why what Jim said is absolutely true. Here in Las Vegas, the idea at all these casinos, all of them, is to get people in the door. They want people in the building so they'll gamble their money. So every single casino has some kind of a football contest at a ridiculously low price or free in some cases, where they'll give away a lot of money. And the idea, Station Casinos gives away houses, thousands. Coast Casinos, every single hotel in town, especially those geared to the locals, has something set up where they want to get thousands of people in there, and there's a reason for that. They're going to get their money. They're going to get their money because they'll bet football games and they'll do other things in the casino as well. In basketball, they've all got contests set up with great prizes for what's going on right now, the NCAA tournament. They've got other things for NBA, college basketball. They want people in the book. For baseball,
and horse racing.
Horse racing is kind of neutral, so they can't lose. In baseball, they have nothing. Basically, zero. No contests. They don't want people in there to bet baseball with them because they can lose money. Sharp baseball bettors can beat them. It's not something we're making up to get you to call the phone numbers. No. It's just the truth. It's as simple as that. And anybody who tells you differently doesn't bet on sports. I can tell you that right now. It's the same as this. I can tell you right now who a real sports bettor is as opposed to somebody who just talks about it. No offense to guys like Hank Goldberg and people like that. I congratulate them. Do a great job talking about games and stuff like that. When I hear them talk at the beginning of August about, I don't know, anybody can bet these preseason games. If you're not betting the NFL preseason, you're missing out on what is actually one of the best bets out there. It's a great percentage play. There's information out there in the NFL preseason you can't get at any time during the regular season. You take advantage of these situations. You make money, and that's why they don't have NFL preseason promotions, by the way. They don't want you to bet that stuff. Real bettors hammer baseball. And if you want to make money at this stuff, take advantage of what we've got. Big Al, awesome stuff during baseball season. Jen's been betting it for years. He doesn't even like the game, but he makes money at it. I happen to love baseball. It's my favorite game to watch as well as to bet. My special is Major League Baseball for the month of April, right through April 30th. all my action on the diamond, plus the basketball, the rest of the college hoops, $29. For $29, even if you don't bet the games, just chart them. Find out for yourself how much there is to make on this. It's a smart investment, if you will. And 1-866-841-1665 is the number to call. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Well, Al, no. I'd like to ask Al a question. I know Al has a law background and he's following. He mentioned earlier a little bit about the legal wranglings with the NFL. And what do you make of that, Al? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, it's always the courts are going to determine which way this thing goes. I'll just throw something out for thought. The players' union decertifies, and it's every right that a union has. If you want to decertify, more power to you. You do have that right. What I don't understand is that how does a court not see through this as a sham to perpetrate a fraud? Because once this thing gets settled, they're going to go back into the union. They're going to reconstitute it. So it's one thing if you want to decertify it for the right reasons and you're just not going to have a union, but that's not what's going on here. They're decertifying it just to play the legal game. And to me, as an attorney, that's what we call a sham to perpetrate a fraud. And if I'm the courts, I'm going to just look through that and say, this is BS. You can't get the benefit of this because it's not real. But I'm not the judge here, and it's these guys are smarter than me, so we'll have to see how they rule. But that's the only thing that rubs me the wrong way. I just don't think that's right. I think if you want to decertify, fine, but then decertify for good.
Well, what rubs me the wrong way on this is that, we're seeing labor issues throughout the country, but it's involving people who, are strapped for cash, and states that don't have money in their budgets to pay them. I mean, they're strapped for cash as well. So it's tough to find a right side and a wrong side on this side. It just is. You want the states to be solvent. You want the teachers or whatever to be making money. It's just difficult. There's no money there, and it's a real problem. I think what really is turning people's stomachs about this whole NFL thing, it is literally millionaires against billionaires. And boy, I tell you, it's just not the right climate for you guys to be doing what you're doing right now. Find a way to just put it on hold and go out and play the games. I mean, it's just give the fans that at least. It's really depressing when you consider the real issues that are out there in basically every state in the country right now, as far as people that are looking to put bread on their table and keep the lights on, and states that really, I mean, you can't knock the states either. They don't have the money either. So, boy, it really is aggravating to hear the NFL and the players fighting over millions of dollars when both the players and the owners are filthy rich at this point.
And Dave, the other thing is that, these people in that business need to take a step back and realize it's just games. I mean, this isn't life or death. These guys are making hundreds of gazillions of dollars off of games in which the fans out there just root for a uniform color and a logo. I mean, there's not a lot of things that are real here. It's a big fantasy. It's emotional, but this isn't life and death stuff. And yet these guys are getting filthy rich off of this game, and they shouldn't be as greedy as they are. That's just my take.
We make our living off the fact that there are games. So it's very important to us to have sports.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be in some other business. But when you look at this, and when I look at the world at large, there's a lot of suffering around the world. I mean, right here in Las Vegas, we've got anywhere from 20 to 80% devaluation of property. We've got vacancies, over 170,000 vacant homes and condominiums in Las Vegas right now. We have 26% unemployment in Las Vegas. So people don't really tell you the truth about the unemployment figures. The country is in bad shape. There's certain places like Arizona and South Florida and Vegas and some of Southern California are the worst. But there's other places, even on the East Coast, that are suffering, 12, 14% devaluation of property, high unemployment. We've got deficits everywhere. We've got disagreement, of course, in the political front. I mean, partisan politics, we can't get anything done from our leadership. We got 3 wars going on right now. We've got a lot of problems in the world, in this country and in the world. You got a devaluation of the U.S. dollar. You got oil prices skyrocketing. And you got these billionaire owners and these millionaire players. And not every player is a millionaire. Some of them are making the minimums. And then you got the concessionaires and the valet parkers and all these other people that are going to get hurt. And I say, come on, man. Get off your ass and get the thing settled. And we need some positive stuff in this country. And we don't need this kind of crap. I mean, it's wrong. It's the wrong time. Yeah, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago. Okay, maybe so because we were flourishing. It's not the case today. Let's get real. You got a golden goose out there. Don't kill it. And they'll put us all through this shit. You get it done. Get back to work. Start to be big boys, and let's contribute to society. Forget about being so damn greedy. That's my say. As far as leadership, we need a lot of things to go right. We've got terrible education system. We've got 1% of the country, the top 1 or 2% of the country, the richest people control 70% of the assets now. 10 years ago, that was 30%. Now it's 70%. So we're losing the middle class. We've got a lot of things wrong here that we need to focus on. And these people that are making all this money don't need to put us through this. And that's the end of what I got to say.
All right. So on that happy note, you know what? Put a smile on your face this weekend. Take advantage of the offers and win some games. It's always fun to win money. Quick note, by the way, on our Proline scheduling. We're not going to have a show on Sunday, and we're not going to have a show on Monday either. We're going to the guys at the office have been working nonstop for the last 2 weeks. They deserve a day off with their families, a weekend off. So our next Proline will be on Tuesday. We'll come back. We'll start to preview the Final Four. We're going to get you some baseball predictions for the upcoming season because it does start this coming week. And obviously, we will talk about some NBA as well. That's it. We're done. Jim, you got your finger up. Go ahead. And I'm glad it's that finger, not another one.
There are some other tournaments going on that we don't really ever talk about, but like tonight, there's Santa Clara, SMU, and there's the smaller tournaments, but they're big to some people, and especially to some of those schools that really want to win the championships. So maybe we've ignored them a little bit. That maybe when we come back on Tuesday, we'll spend a little time on it.
And I'm not a big fan of the insider tournament and whatnot, but I do like the NIT, and I've always felt that the NIT Final Four has as good as any tournament for betting. I found that to be one of the easiest tournaments of all, the NIT Final Four, and that, of course, is early next week. So folks definitely need to come back and see what we have to offer.
That's right. And specifically on Tuesday, when we come back, we will definitely look at one of the NIT Final Four matchups because they get going that night. And they're in the Garden in the Big Apple. So, yeah, they're going to be fun games. And it looks like 4 quality teams are going to be in there as well. They seeded it right. And it's a good Final Four in the NIT. All right, everybody. Have an awesome weekend. And we'll talk to you again on Tuesday. Win some money. See you later, guys.
Take care, guys.